derail and disrupt and say, oh, all the persuasive stuff, well, he's just lying. There's secret evil views that he has that, well, you just aren't hearing right now. So that's why you're going to break your one rule. You come on the podcast, even though you
I
quote
know
unquote
you're obsessed with
blacklisted
comic
me.
book villains.
Because as you said, I do like that movie. Because as you said a couple of years ago, you don't like when people like me talk to a large audience. I mean, you're the one that's hiding a
7 people
political
DM
agenda.
me to come here, okay? So I decided to come and hang out.
That's
But
what
like,
I
really,
really
but
said. Like my
as
career was
a real
over
quick,
a
just as a
couple
real quick
weeks
reframing,
ago.
like,
Nah, I'm
Hold
just
on.
just saying.
Just Ed and Keith. I want to ask you both the same question. Is like seeing that back and forth between Nick and Destiny. Is there anything in that back and forth that should have been censored? Is there anything that could have, that could be considered hate speech or could have led to violence and should not be allowed on X or any other platform?
Look, I think it should be up to the platform itself. If a platform wants to censor certain types of hate speech or certain types of incitement of violence, I think they should be able to do that. I also think,
even despite sorry to interrupt you, Ed, but despite the amount of influence they have now compared to 10, 20 years ago, like if you give them that right now and they all just meet in one room, they can essentially control speech around the world.
Yeah, but I think that's their right as a corporation. I don't,
Ed,
like,
what's the platform's primary objective?
the platforms. What platform are you referring to?
All of them. Why do social media companies exist? What's their primary objective?
To make money.
To make money. And you're saying that they should be allowed to ban certain speech they don't like if that allows them to make more money, correct?
I believe, as in capitalism, I believe that's the way it should be.
So if Pfizer came along and decided to give a bunch of money to one of these social media platforms, would they allow anti-COVID vaccine conversations and speech or vaccine injury proof on their platform, or would they censor it to make as much money as possible?
I think it's up to them as a corporation to do as they please. Just like Donald Trump with Truth Social has censored liberals from his site.
That's fine, but we're talking about people getting injured for the vaccine.
I think Elon Musk has the absolute right to run it the way he wants to do it.
That's fine.
And under his terms, that is, as long as something doesn't break the law, and I guess that can be subjective to some, like what's going on in Brazil. I think that's his right, and I think if that's the best way to run it, that his platform will probably succeed.
Cool. So vaccine. I understand what you're saying. So vaccine injuries do exist. However, the platform's objective is to make as much money as possible, and Pfizer is funding the platform, so they're going to pretend vaccine injuries do not exist. So they are purporting a false version of reality. They are creating and aiding the matrix and making people believe a version of reality that is not true, primarily for financial profit. And those with the global centralized capital can control narratives and can control the world even at a better level than most political parties. Would you agree with that?
Unmute, Ed. I have to mute you because
Pfizer is not even worth that much money. Why would we assume Pfizer can control speech on?
It's an example. Destiny.
Yeah, see,
Ed,
so you keep blaming it on the advertiser or a company that's paying these companies. It's up to the media companies, it's up to their shareholders, what's in the best interest of those companies. That's how capitalism works in America. That's what I think most conservatives embrace. They embrace capitalism. Let the companies make up their own mind. If one business idea is not going to work out, if people don't like that, they're going to move to another platform. And we're seeing that with a lot of people who are moving away from Facebook and onto X because they don't like this level of censorship they're getting on other platforms. So they move to X. Just like the media, that you can watch Fox News, you can watch News Nation, you can watch, there's a plethora of different media outlets that you can consume if you don't like what one media outlet's putting out there. It's not the government saying, oh, the media can't talk about the Pfizer vaccine or say that it has side effects. If that would be an infringement on the First Amendment. But in capitalistic society, these companies can run the way they want without government interference. So if the government starts interfering and saying you can't run your platform how you want, then that's going to be the government interference, and that's going to be against the First Amendment.
Okay, well, that's another argument because there was Twitter files and there's a whole rabbit hole. People
and the Twitter files also, the Twitter files showed that a lot of stuff went on. People requested a lot of things to be removed. And Twitter, being a publicly run company, publicly held company, they made up their mind on what they believed was best for their shareholders.
Let me simplify the question. Do you believe the people? So what you're effectively saying, we agree on the fact that those with the money can control certain narratives and how they're perceived and discussed. Would you agree with that?
Those with money definitely have more control. Yes.
Yes, and they can control on a public forum how certain things are perceived and discussed because they have the money. And when I say advertise, what I truthfully mean is donate and lobby. That's what they do. They donate and lobby to platforms to get their point of
Yeah,
view
of
across.
course, on
And
certain
okay.
platforms they can, but on certain platforms they can't. Like, let's say X, for example.
Well, absolutely, because it's free speech. So this is where we're going back into. I'm only going back over this because we talked about it earlier when you guys were saying the primary objective of the media is to make money, and I said
That
well,
is the
if that,
primary objective. I mean,
okay,
there's
if that's
really no arguing that.
okay, well, if that's their case, then they're going to take money from the large centralized power structures, and they're going to purport any false version of reality that it takes them to make as much money as possible, and the people who donated the money to make as much money as possible. Objective truth has nothing to do with anything.
If that's in the best interest of the shareholders, perhaps. I'd like to think that shareholders have an ethical side of things too, and if they see that happening, they're not going to be as interested in investing in that company. So, I mean, I think the board of directors and the shareholders are going to have the ultimate say there, and I don't think most people want that.
But do you think hold on, Ed, do you think you were censored for money?
I didn't hear you.
Do you think your account, you and Brian's accounts, were banned for monetary purposes? Did they make more money by banning you guys?
No.
Do you say that contradicts the point you're making?
I'm a damn Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord. That's probably A minor.
No, sorry. What I meant was they thought you did. It wasn't because you had said like an impact on society, and that's the reason they wanted to ban you, right?
They banned me. Yeah, they banned our accounts because they thought we were breaking their terms of service. But I would add that was a business decision that they thought would help the business. So
do you think Andrew? But Ed, sorry, Brian. I thought it was Ed. Brian, do you think Andrew Tate or Nick Fuentes, they were banned because the platforms wanted to make more money? Because Stripe wanted to make more money, they banned them.
Yeah, I do. I think that they saw them as somebody hampering advertising. Or hampering.
And do you think that's? And do you think this model is flawed, where advertisers
hampering their image? I think hampering their image, which hampers their revenue, right?
Let me ask.
That's just an alibi.
Let me ask a simpler question. So you're saying effectively that mainstream media will lie for money, correct?
Well, I mean, if you lie as a mainstream media outlet and you're caught in that lie, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your revenue.
That's not what I asked. I'm asking, do you if I use Pfizer because it's the example we used earlier before Destiny has a breakdown. If Pfizer come along and they are sponsoring, donating, advertising, lobbying, whatever you want to call it, X amount of hundreds of millions of dollars to your news network, and you're talking pro-vaccine, would the mainstream media lie for money? So yes or no?
I mean, I think that depends on the individual who's making that decision. But I mean, if I was running the mainstream media, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, I think you have a reputation. If you get caught in a lie, that's going to hurt you monetarily in the long run. It's going to hurt you from a standpoint.
Well, that would be true unless your primary objective was to spread lies and for you to be paid to spread lies. And as long as you spread the lies, you continue to get paid because nobody buys what you sell.
Look at Fox News.
Nobody gives a shit.
Well, I don't think none of these companies have the money to solo fund like an entire social media platform. Like, I feel like the analysis stops with, if somebody pays you $100 to lie, will you do it? The answer is yes, but everybody that's a large creator on this platform knows that if you got paid $100 to lie, you wouldn't take it, because if people found out you were lying, your losses would be way more than the little bit of money you'd get paid to do the lie.
Yeah,
that's crazy. People pay you even though
we're talking
lied
billions.
About your marriage not exploding.
Kind of like, Nick, how you lie about every single thing you do. So, for instance, we were talking about
everything
deplatforming, and Nick is talking about the blacklist that we're on. The only reason Nick, by the way, is blacklisted
Back to what Andrew was saying.
Guys, 2 seconds.
Spam reporting people. That's the only reason I
Andrew, but the what you said is that I think the media will lie for money. I think you're right there, and I think Ed cannot disagree. But then, isn't that going to be their downfall? Like, this is not
well, this is the
because
thing.
they eventually lose trust.
Well, this is the missing element. They will lie for money, and then we're talking about how that's going to damage their reputation, which has happened. Nobody trusts them. Nobody believes them anymore. And everyone's missing the very obvious point that it's their job to lie for money. They've always lied for money. They'll tell any narrative they're told to tell by the big money and the big finance. That's the only reason
who are
exist
they?
is to lie
Who
for
are
money.
they?
Why
Andrew,
would
who
they?
are they?
Why?
Like,
let me
can
finish.
you name an individual? Is it the CEO of CNN? Is it, like who?
It's global. It's going to change, right? The COVID-19 narrative is different than the Ukraine narrative. Perhaps they're all on the same team, but
yeah, but
it's
you
people
can't
with large
take everybody into
people
maybe.
I'm sure there's power.
I'm sure there's
and the
some
only
people
reason
who would lie for money.
Hold on.
I'm sure there's some people who would lie for money. You're right. But
No.
to say that the mainstream media would lie for money, like everybody in the mainstream media, their goal is to lie for money, just to put money in their pockets, and they're willing to tell lies. That's ridiculous. I mean, you're judging every individual person.
It's not ridiculous. It's why they
No,
exist.
it is. It's absolutely ridiculous.
The mainstream media.
If they promote vaccine misinformation, people were all losing their jobs if they were to promote anti-vaccine content or anti-vaccine misinformation, which has direct harm to the people that are getting these injuries. Like, we're talking about a misinformation that has direct harm to humans. And Andrew's bringing up a point where if they lie for money when Pfizer is paying them, which they did during COVID, and then they're not reporting on vaccine injuries, then this is a lie that has direct harm to humans. Wait,
are we saying should those be banned? Should that be made illegal? If you lie and you get paid money for it, should that be like a free speech thing where you're in trouble for that?
Well, here's the pertinent point, though. I feel like we're missing, guys. I feel like we're missing a very pertinent point. The only reason mainstream media exists at all is to lie. I don't know why we're trying to pretend that's not the case. The reason it exists and it's pumped out free everywhere all of the time and forced on everyone's throat all of the time and every single lobby everywhere is to lie. They get their objectives that they're supposed to purport to the populace. Their job is to lie. And to sit and say, well, if they lie, they won't be trusted. Correct. Nobody trusts them. Correct. They've been lying for money all this time. That's exactly where we are. So how is this confusing for anybody?
So Andrew, when does a media outlet become the mainstream media or part of the mainstream media? At what point?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, you have state broadcasters for a lot of countries, and I'm sure that in each different country, you have their state broadcaster with their particular narrative they want to push and enforce. I'm sure the Chinese state broadcaster and the Russian state broadcaster and the British state broadcaster will look at the same series of events with a completely different spin and a completely different narrative that they'll try and push to the populace, which they think is best in their national interest, which means it comes from above. It's not organic. It's not just accidental. They put together the narratives they're told to, and they push it to the population. They're professional liars. That is their job.
Yeah, but don't you think that every media outlet wants to reach that point of being considered the mainstream media because that means they're the biggest media in the country? So at a certain point, you become part of the mainstream. At a certain point, you become part of the mainstream media, right?
Those five.
So at that point, do you just start lying? I mean, it's a ridiculous narrative. Sure,
what's ridiculous to say that there's like a free market for media. There's 5 major conglomerates that own most of the media. So to pretend this idea of like, well, they're rising and falling and they're in competition. There's like 5
they rise and fall.
They control most of the media. And there is some, within margin, but nobody would ever say that like some tiny publication that could be founded by an individual is going to blow up and compete with the big 5 conglomerates like News Corp, 21st Century Fox, and Disney.
And they wouldn't let it. And they wouldn't let it. Guys, let's be hyper-realistic here. I said earlier about the control of people and influence over people is the only true war. Tanks and bullets are the final last resort to do that. It's much easier to use social media and narrative control and the MSM, etc., to control a populace as opposed to putting them all at gunpoint. The idea that you can just stand up and tell the truth and you're going to have a broadcasting organization inside of the UK bigger than the BBC and you're just going to talk against the government and you're just going to tell the truth. Be Mr. Honest, they're going to let you get bigger than the BBC without catching a fucking bullet is asinine. Look at what's happening to people who have Twitter accounts. Not just my story, Nick's story, Alex Jones' story. There's a bunch of people with Twitter accounts who end up in a cell for having a Twitter account, let alone a broadcasting corp. To sit and believe that, who becomes the mainstream and you can just go and make a news channel and maybe you'll get in. It's one big club and you're not in it. And it's control.
So Andrew, you haven't answered my question before. So when you say they, the mainstream media, are you talking about, let's say, Chris Cuomo when he was on CNN? Are you talking, like, is he being fed this information that he's only
I'll be honest. I'll be very honest with you what I think of mainstream news broadcasters. I think they're idiots who are dragged from obscurity and they sit down in front of a teleprompter, and I think anybody can do their job. And Don Lemon's monumental failure has proved that perfectly, because since he left CNN, nobody's given a shit. I think he has 500 views on his videos. He's some random idiot they plucked from obscurity, sat him down, he read the teleprompter. It's not about who reads the teleprompter, sir. It's about who decides what's on the teleprompter in the first place. That's the actual discussion we're having here. It's nothing to do with which jackass could sell his soul and sit down and read the
there's so many of those shows that individual, whoever has that show, they have their team, and they're not necessarily being fed everything they had to say. They're allowed to have opinions themselves.
My friend, and I call you my friend. So
I'm glad you're calling me
I'm about to call you an idiot. Because you're an idiot, sir.
Tucker Carlson said the exact same thing, that he had basically full editorial.
Didn't Tucker get fired for having an opinion that went outside of the narrative of Fox News?
No, Tucker got fired because he almost cost Fox News $1 billion for lying on air. It's funny that you defend the fact that he had an original opinion. What you're actually defending is misinformation and lies, which is supposed to be something you guys are against, I thought.
Which opinion was this? That's not what I heard. Tell me, please educate me.
The Fox News, the Dominion lawsuit. There were texts that were leaked from him where he admitted that he was lying on air about claims that Sidney Powell had made to him, and he was tired of lying to his audience about things about the Dominion voting machines being rigged.
Well, I don't know if that's a lie at all.
You don't know anything because you don't read any media. That's why you're out here saying things like they get marching orders from everybody. You don't know how any of these media companies are structured. You don't know where the teams get their information from. People that work in media are the most social media hungry people in the universe. You think that all these people in all these networks across all these countries are getting fed the same marching orders and nobody's leaked anything, nobody's complained about anything, nobody's said anything? And why do we think that mainstream media is any more insulated from these problems than alternative media is? You guys will make fun of the marching orders from mainstream media, but I bet every single alternative media guy in here is anti-vax, thinks COVID came from a bioweapons lab, thinks that Russia has a right to invade Ukraine, thinks that all the charges against Donald Trump are made up, thinks that we shouldn't be supporting Israel. You guys have literally copy-pasted the same opinions between every single one of you, and you guys are talking like an army of NPCs about how the mainstream media gives you fabricated opinions. It doesn't even make sense.
Yes, we do all think the truth. That is.
Oh, crazy how truth can be a perspective there, huh? But when you all think the same thing, it's not a conspiracy, but when the mainstream media does, it is a conspiracy. Crazy how that works.
I just said that different state-sponsored broadcasters would have conflicting points.
But they don't. Do you watch any media? Have you followed any media?
Course.
They don't typically have conflicting opinions. When you're reporting on international media, the stories are more or less the same.
And a BBC segment, they often directly conflict. Often.
No, very rarely. On the facts, no. Maybe if you're watching a pundit or you're reading op-eds, they will. But if you have any amount of media literacy, a really great example that works against your Israel stuff, by the way, was the reporting of that Al-Awsi hospital bombing, where everybody was saying that Israel bombed that parking lot. Every single mainstream media outlet in the world ran with that story for 2 days. I mean, how did that work if Israel controls the media? Or how does that work if they all give conflicting accounts and reports? It's because they don't. It's because everybody relies on, people that are reporting on the ground and goes through their they publish what they think is right, and then people fuck up. There doesn't have to be a top-down conspiracy to explain why.
They sure did change the headlines very quickly, Destiny.
Yeah, after more information came out. Yes, sir, that's how it works.
When fake news came out.
This is so naive. There have been so many lies, specifically about wars. It's insane that you would even bring that up. Before the 2020 election, there was a big story about how Russians were putting a bounty on the head of American soldiers in Iraq. You remember this? And they said Trump is allying with Russia, who's killing our soldiers. Then a year after, and by the way, that's after the election, they came out and said, yeah, that wasn't true. They came out and said, see, well, we source our intelligence on the ground. Some of it has a high degree of confidence, some of it has a low degree, and this one had no degree of confidence. But it took them a year to correct it after it had already served its purpose. Same thing with the Hunter Biden laptop. They totally put the lid on that one because they said, we were told it's Russian disinformation. Turned out to be authentic after the election, just like the 40 beheaded babies. 40 beheaded babies! 40 babies and their heads are off. I can't believe it. And then they found out in December, after Israel had already invaded, after they blockaded Gaza, after everything, they said, oh yeah, that was all fabricated. It's a complete lie. Same thing with Ukraine. I remember when we debated, they said Russia blew up a nuclear reactor because they're trying to do another Chernobyl. Turned out that was bullshit. So those are just off the top of my head, 5 examples about 3 different conflicts where, they report it. It serves its purpose, and then they revise it a year later after they got what they wanted. And you, because you believe their alibi, because you don't understand the distinction between power and powerless, between government and people, you say, no, I think they got more information. They found out that the propaganda that they created for their efficient purpose, they found out that was a lie because, these are just really earnest people like you and I trying to get it right, as opposed to very interested parties in government, finance, wherever you find it. So those are just a few examples off the top of my head. They learn more information, just like in Iraq,
maybe
right?
People just
they
get
learned there were
stories
no
wrong.
weapons of mass
Maybe
destruction
it's
in Iraq.
possible because it happened on the other side too. How many people were saying, oh, there's no way that Russia's going to invade Ukraine. That's bullshit. The U.S. intelligence must be lying because Nick said that they lie about the intel all the time. Well, guess what? That happened. Oh, well, there are no fighters in Al-Shifa hospital. That can't possibly be the case. Oh, whoops, we found CCTV footage that shows otherwise. Oh, no, hydroxychloroquine is a way better drug than remdesivir. Like, oh, this is going to be the ivermectin is going to save all of us. Oh, looks like none of that was true. Oh, people get things wrong. Some people lie. Like, you have to be intelligent enough to call out fault. That wasn't even a syllogism, dipshit.
That's a false syllogism.
No, that wasn't even a syllogism, dipshit. Listen, people get things wrong sometimes. You have to be more intelligent. You've got to be more sophisticated when you go through media. And you have to understand sometimes people fuck up and they get shit wrong. Sometimes people do lie. But why the fuck would you trust people who in alternative media who are like teams of like 1 to 4 highly ideologically driven people versus entire media conglomerates that are being fact-checked or have like, dozens or sometimes hundreds of workers in some of these offices? Like the ability for you to lie about something is going to be way higher.
How much do you know about the CIA's history of influencing media?
What an amazing question. I don't know. How much do you know about...
I often don't hear people like you and Ed and Brian digging into the history of the national intelligence state directly influencing media.
Because history is different. Like, if you want to talk about U.S. foreign policy between like the 40s and before the the fall of the Soviet Union, that's going to be a different type of foreign policy, a different approach than our foreign policy over the past like 34 years. Also, the ability to sneak or hide different things is going to be different when everybody is carrying around a video camera and a recorder. Like, the ability to do things covertly is a lot easier back in the day when people were typewriting to each other or...
I have to go. I have to go. So I want to ask.
Buried. Yeah, do your thing, Andrew.
Sorry, brother. I have to go. So I was going to ask a really quick question. Destiny, I want to understand your worldview because you and I have a different worldview, it seems, especially on girlfriends, etc. But we won't go down that path. Do you think it would be prudent and professional for a country to allow its state broadcaster, which speaks to its populace, to report whatever it wanted and whatever it discovered, without any kind of moderation or input, even if it was directly adverse to the goals and aims of the national security of said country or the military-industrial complex of that country? Do you think they would allow the state broadcaster to just report whatever it wanted fairly, without anyone telling them what to say or any narratives to hold, even if it's directly counter to the interests of very powerful entities within that nation? Do you believe that we operate in a world that fair?
Yes, because confidence is a valuable thing. And if your country doesn't trust you, doesn't trust the media, if it doesn't trust the leaders, and if you've got ways to hold them accountable, like via voting, then yeah, if you fuck around with your population and people find out, you're going to be held accountable for it. Arguably, that's why Trump won his election. You can say that like, oh, well, the media lies to everybody and everybody lies to everybody. That might be true. Fine. Then why the fuck should we believe anything any of you guys say, right? At that point, you're in an epistemic, nihilistic black hole of nothingness where you can't believe anybody.
The fact that you believe a country X, will have military aims, it will have agricultural aims, it will have political ambitions, it will have trade aims, whatever they are, to compete in this globalized market, and they need their population to believe a certain point of view to be as competitive as possible against the other nations, and they're just going to allow their state broadcaster to broadcast whatever they want, even if it's counter to their own narratives and interests, is so ridiculously naive. That's not what happens.
It's not naive. You don't even understand how markets work. You know what naive? No, hold on.
I'm about to drive,
naive is thinking that companies with a market cap of $100 billion have more say in our government than like
the Daily Mail starts talking about war with Russia in the UK only a fucking couple months ago. Endless war with Russia, conscription, how it needs to happen. On a dime, all of the BBC, all of the British news starts talking about how important it is to go to war with Russia, because that's the aim that they had from their military-industrial complex. And the broadcaster and the media arm of the government works directly with their foreign policy aims, all directly going together. Not a single newspaper printed, "This is dumb shit. Nobody should go to get their ass whooped by the Russians." Not a single one, because they are not allowed to.
If that's the case, then why didn't Trump shut down all negative media about him when he was president? If that's the case, why didn't Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or Barack Obama shut down all negative media about them? You guys bring up the best counterexample to you is that Hunter Biden laptop story. Why did that get censored for one day? Why wasn't that story completely killed?
Wasn't heavily suppressed.
Wait. Why wasn't that story killed completely? That is the most talked about story. Your example of media censorship is like the most talked about story in the past 10 years of online media.
It's talked about online on social media, yes, but it was suppressed in the MSM, which is the exact point.
No, it was suppressed on Twitter. The New York Post
in
story,
every
the big
story by
deal
doing
about
what
that, the
Nick
big deal
says.
about Twitter was, the big deal about the New York Post story was it being suppressed on Twitter and Facebook, but it came back in like a day. So the question is if the government, if the government was able to control things so well, why didn't they shut that story down completely?
Destiny, let me ask you a question on that. Isn't that because they censored it because there was a specific reason to do so? Because the reason you censor it is because you want the election to go in a certain way. Once the election's over,
agencies tell them to do that? Didn't the intel agencies tell them to suppress that?
No, if you actually read the Twitter files, I know how much you hate reading. If you actually
CIA
read them,
experts.
no, they didn't. No. Nobody told Twitter to censor the New York Post story. They literally leaked emails where they talk about censoring the story. I don't know why you guys say the intelligence agencies told them to do it.
So all of the mainstream media all ran with "this has been debunked," and they all cited the letter that came from the National Security State, which was signed by 51 intel operatives.
They didn't say that it was debunked. They said it looked like Russian misinformation. Which, if you're honest, it did. But it did.
They started all of their articles with that statement in order to frame it in the exact same way that Nick was saying that every article about Nick is framed by the first sentence being Nicholas J. Fuentes, this evil things, so that when you read the article, you're pre-framed to believe Nick Fuentes is an evil human. Or
No, it's not even remotely the same. It looked like a fishy story. Any honest actor, like I'm pretty sure at this point we all know the laptop story is real, but even looking at it, it's that is a
story.
Yeah, obviously. I'm sorry. Hold on. The idea that Hunter Biden dropped off a laptop years ago to like a blind computer store owner, yeah, that is a sensational story. That sounds like bullshit. It still sounds like bullshit, even if it's true. But again, like the deep state has so much control sometimes, like censoring stories, but it couldn't have prevented the New York Post from publishing it. Why? It couldn't go and like take that hard drive out of Giuliani's. Giuliani had balls. Oh my God! So it only takes one journalist to shut down the entire. Also, by the way, like a quasi-mainstream media journalist. This is the New York Post. It's not like we're talking about like a small YouTube channel or something, right? So even the New York
published that story, and then the entire media narrative had to shift in order to just discredit the story as quickly as humanly possible. And the entire national security complex mobilized and got 51 of their top experts, like ex-director of the CIA, ex-director of the NSA, the people that had architected their entire national security state, the people that had lied to us about torture, that had lied to us about WMD.
Yes, I understand. You can talk about things from 20 years ago. That's fine. But the reality is,
the story as quickly
and look
as
who broke it. The most mainstream media people in the world. Giuliani had a copy of the drive. This is a mainstream ex-mayor of New York, and then the New York Post, a mainstream media publication. Giuliani was not mainstream. How old are you?
So let me ask you.
No, wait. I want to hear the answer. Wait, hold on. I want to hear this. You don't think the New York Post counts as mainstream media, and you don't think Giuliani wasn't a mainstream political figure in the United States of America?
New York Post absolutely counts as mainstream media. What I'm saying is that a singular journalist got the scent, got the trail, and decided to write the story.
But I'm asking, how is that possible? And that was a mainstream media publication. How would that be possible? The CIA and the NSA and the FBI are controlling all these things.
You haven't done a lot of research on how the CIA actually do influence.
Ian, your mic is really bad, but just so what you're saying, Destiny, is that the letter that was signed by... Go ahead, Keith, go ahead.
Saying is that when you actually research how the CIA influences journalists, it's not like journalists are literal robots where the CIA has a literal game control where they actually like move their mouths. They peddle influence through payoffs or through like promotions or through just making friendships. Like it's not as simple as just saying we literally control everything that everyone says. That's not how the world works.
No, it's not. Hold on, no, wait. It's easier to censor one story by like contacting a journalist and threatening his family than it would be to falsely get like every single intelligence agency or like 51 different officials on board with censoring a story. It doesn't make sense. It would be way easier to get the one journalist guy like to just like show up at his house and steal the drive.
Experts work for them.
Hold on. Well, Comey works for them. The DOJ works for them. Why did they pursue the email investigation with Hillary? Why didn't they just kill that immediately? Why did Comey ever make those announcements publicly? It hurt him a lot. Why did this story with the DOJ with a special prosecutor come out with Biden being senile? That hurts him as well. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they report on themselves on that doesn't make them look good. Is it all plausible deniability?
I have a question. I'm curious.
Okay, go, Andrew.
I'm curious. Do you believe that in China, the state broadcaster can just broadcast whatever it wants and whatever it discovers, or do you believe it has to work within an official narrative from the government?
In China, I think they probably have to work with official narratives within the government. This media probably works closely with the state.
And what about in Russia?
Yes. For publications like RT, yes.
Saudi?
I don't know as much about Saudi media, but that would be my assumption. It's a total monarchy, yeah.
But in the West, not at all, 0%, right?
Well, it depends on the country you're talking about. Like the BBC gets state funding. I don't think they get state direction. PBS gets state funding. I don't think they get state direction. I think in general in the West, I don't think the media tends to operate at the behest of the state. Whereas like in monarchies or dictatorships, you tend to operate more with what the state is telling you to do. Yes.
Well, we could ask why you get state funding without state direction. That's one question. But so you're
because
saying
of legislation from Congress that authorizes state funding. I mean, it's not really a huge conspiracy.
Of course, yeah, they just give money for nothing. Yeah, fine.
Money for I'm sorry. Do you think the most wealthy broadcasters work for PBS and NPR?
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
I know you don't.
I want to try and get to the end of the point, especially because I'm driving. So do you think that would allow a country to be competitive, considering that you need to have narrative control over your populace, and that we now know, and everyone in the West accepts, that China has narrative control over its populace via the state broadcaster, as does Russia, as does Saudi Arabia, as do all these other countries, and that having a news broadcasting apparatus which told the truth, even if it's against national security interests, does not allow you to be competitive in any state? Do you think that we're going to allow that to happen just because we care about truth so much?
No, because the West doesn't run the world because they dominate the narrative. The West runs the world because they dominate it militarily and economically. People don't like the United States because we've got the most bought and paid for media. They like the United States because we have the strongest navy that guarantees the most free passage through water. Because when the Houthis start firing missiles at people, it's U.S. destroyers that show up and save the waterways. They like the United States because we are a massive trading partner. We have the highest GDP in the world at this point, and we buy and sell goods like crazy. That's why people like us, not because we poison our media, but because we actually put out good results. You can't control the media. You can't media frame the way out of like horrible participation in a world economy. You just have to like actually be able to put up the numbers.
No, I don't think you understood the point I'm asking, because America as a country is in competition with other nation states, right?
No, but we don't compete on who can control the narrative. That's shit you do on Twitter and YouTube. We compete on who has the highest number of exports. We compete on who can facilitate like the largest like multilateral trade deals. We compete on who can guarantee safe passage through waterways. When people start blowing each other up, whose military is going to show up to make sure that your ships are safe? Those are the things that we compete on.
Cool, understand. So you think that America has no vested interest in controlling the narratives that its own population believes in, although the CIA spends basically unlimited money ensuring that vested interests are installed in every other nation state around the world.
If you
don't care about their own at all.
Yeah.
They don't care about what Americans think at all. They just care about all the other countries.
If you think the CIA spends unlimited money, it's because you don't know what unlimited money looks like, and you have no idea what the scale is between like CIA spending and spending of companies like Facebook or Apple or Microsoft or Amazon. Like, if you guys at least were to come on and say things like, I think that all of our foreign policy is being ran by the people that control like Apple and Facebook, that would at least make sense. But by companies that are worth, like tens of billions or like $100 billion, no, absolutely not. And also, no, the reputational hit you would take in a democracy when you elect your leaders and people catch you lying about stuff or fabricating stories or controlling the media. No, I don't think you.
Them lying. We never called them lying.
Is this supposed to be a desert?
Nobody ever said. Hold on. Nobody ever said they never. Nobody ever said. Nobody
influence other populations, but they have no interest at all in influencing the minds of their own populace. No, they just care about trying to influence everybody else's with their democracy and all the garbage they're doing when they're pushing it. And you're saying they don't control the narrative, which is also another rabbit hole we need to go down to.
I mean, technically, your story isn't even contradictory, even if I let you have that, because technically Americans don't really give a fuck what happens in other countries as much as their own. So you could get away with influencing other countries more than your own. Yeah, of course. But the reality is that like if you get caught doing these lies, you pay huge fucking repercussions for it. Like a lot of the country's politics
for COVID. What have they paid for COVID? What have they paid for the Vietnam War? What have they paid for the weapons of mass destruction
the media coverage for the Vietnam War was harmful to U.S. institutions. That's one of the reasons why we left Vietnam. If we controlled the media, we would have stayed in Vietnam until we saw it through. Media pressure was one of the reasons we left. Look at how unpopular the Iraq War became. You don't think Obama wanted to take a more active role in the Middle East? He couldn't, because the American public fucking hates everything in the Middle East after the Iraq War. What are you talking about? Yeah, American public heavily influences our capability of operating in different theaters of war. After Iraq and Afghanistan, we have no appetite for it.
Okay. Is this supposed to be about being unbanned, or is this about the number one fucking news media truster to defend the State Department's agenda? Like, I don't even know what this is about.
Yeah, I want to jump in here. I mean, because I thought the purpose of this space was discuss the next censorship. And I mean, this is like a civics lecture now from the Krasensteins and Destiny.
And like, it's really interesting. People might not realize this, but yeah, Destiny has blacklisted Nick for the last few years to try and stifle his popularity.
What do you mean?
Wait, why would I blacklist him?
Hold on.
Ask Keith. Question. Yeah, question to you, Keith. Because I asked Destiny the question earlier. How did he blacklist him? What does that mean?
Why did I blacklist him?
Yeah, so Destiny refused to stream with Nick. He didn't want to help grow his popularity. Nick comes back in a day, he surpasses him on Twitter followers. And Destiny goes back to his old tactic of showing up on a Nick stream and reading Wikipedia articles, trying to make him sound bad to his guests. I mean, the central point here is supposed to be Nick's censorship. And, you know, Destiny makes this point. He's like, oh, well, these people, they defend free speech, but then they don't want to come out and be honest.
This is
about
the
their
easiest truth test forever, right here. Like, tell me, why did I blacklist Nick? Can Nick or you admit it? Can either of you admit it? No, you won't. You're going to keep pivoting.
Is he just going to keep interrupting me? I mean, he's been speaking for the last like hour and a half, dominating this space.
Make him answer the question.
Go ahead, Keith. Yeah, answer the question and then continue, Keith, with the point you're making.
So Destiny says, you know, they get censored, they send them for free speech, and they're scared to come out with their beliefs. Well, he's ignoring the fact that Destiny got his followers to mass report Nick in I think it was 2019-20 to get him banned off Twitch, because Destiny is aware of this double
didn't happen. He's lying and he didn't answer my question.
I'll go back, Destiny. I'll go back to you to respond right after. Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, Destiny got his followers in the past to mass report Nick, to get him banned, to take away the competition, because he knows this double standard exists. And, you know, Destiny will come on these streams and he'll say, of course I believe in free speech. And in the past he said, well, you know, look, you're going to get censored if you say shit people find offensive. That's just kind of how society works. Like Nick said, Destiny has said, you know, Palestinians, I'm fine with them being genocided. Hassan, who's probably the biggest leftist streamer now, I saw just a couple of weeks ago, he posted the schematic of a weapon as a quote tweet to a politician, suggesting his followers should engage in violence against the politician. Now, there wasn't an SPLC hit piece, there wasn't an ADL hit piece shopped around, because they know there's obviously a double standard that operates here. This isn't some free market where the companies are looking at these individual streamers, these individual personalities, deciding who to work with. I mean, Nick used the perfect example during Bandy ADL. All of these mainstream media outlets rushed to get this out, that, you know, of the 10,000 tweets I've made, that they found one that was a joke about being an anti-Semite and self-avowed anti-Semite. I can give her another example. Recently, I was censored off a couple of payment processors after a Media Matters hit piece. Media Matters hit piece references an SPLC hit piece that says I'm a Holocaust denier. Now, I've literally never made a public statement about the Holocaust in my life, right? It's illegal in most of Europe. Who's even talking right now? Who is this guy? But that is shopped around. Leftists send these to payment processors. They send these to platforms.
Did they include sorry to interrupt, did they include a quote, or did they just make that statement without any quote, without any...
No, the original article that it goes back to, which is shopped around to all these various outlets now, there's no link, there's no quote. It's just put there by leftist activists. That is used to censor people. And what you realize about censorship is, you know, there's no debate or discussion going around here. These employees get these pieces handed to them by organizations that are supposed to have a reputation, like the ADL, the SPLC, and they just hit the button. And, you know, it's easy to come in with this kind of sort of naive, pluralist worldview where we're in this free market of ideas and companies are just
acting we got the philosophy lesson. Why is Nick? Why did I blacklist Nick?
You blacklisted him to stop his popularity.
Okay, so I blacklisted Nick because I'm a big free speech advocate online, and I have been for, I think, probably like 6 or 7 years. And
did you direct your followers to get Nick banned?
And Nick Fuente, I haven't tried to get Nick banned in like 7 years. I had a huge conversation with him on Twitch. I was part of the hosting of that conversation. I didn't try to get him banned.
Your followers to mass report Nick.
Like 8 years ago. Yeah, my values have changed since then.
It keeps changing. It keeps changing.
I'm not. No, I haven't changed it. I literally hosted a huge debate with Nick. But the reason why Nick is blacklisted, the reason why I blacklisted Nick is because as of a year ago, Nick and his group of people spam report people. You can go and watch it on the Ralph Retort. You can go and watch it on shows he's on. And he says, well, if people spam report me, I'm going to spam report them. Which is ironically why I spam reported conservatives in the 2016-2017 period, because you guys spam reported everybody else too. Even large conservative figures would try to cancel other people. James Wood, the Guardians of the Galaxy dude, got canceled by fucking what? Cernovich digging up 10-year-old fucking tweets? You know, and Nick Fuentes plays the exact same game. Nick, do you acknowledge that a year ago, as recently as a year ago, that you had your audience run around and spam report people on YouTube, that you were fighting with Mr. Medicare and other people, and you would encourage people to spam report people? Or are you going to deny that or not even answer it?
Really? Did you do that to Keffels? and to Hassan last year.
Why are you pivoting? Wait, do you want to answer that question?
Well, answer.
No, I
Did
asked
do
you
it
a
to
question.
Keffels and
Nick,
Hassan
you're the
last
freedom
year?
of the speech guy.
Did
Nick,
you
answer
do
the
it to
question.
Keffels and Hassan?
Nick, oh, he won't answer the
Did you
question.
do it
So
to
this is what I
Keffels
mean when
and
I say
Hassan?
they won't own their positions. They're too
Did you do
cowardly
it
to
to
own their
Keffels and
positions.
Hassan?
He's not going to answer it. And anyway,
Did
so
you
just to
do
be
it to
clear,
Keffels and
that's
Hassan?
why he's
Wait,
on my
Mario,
blacklist.
make
The
him
reason
answer,
why
make him
he's
answer.
on my blacklist
Make
is
him
because
So would you?
he's
But would you?
reporting
But
about it.
I wouldn't call this. I wouldn't call this censorship. But Destiny, why it hasn't seemed to have worked. Like if you look at Nick's following now, despite all the censorship, did it help him in your opinion?
It's not
Or did
about if it
platform
helps
make-
him. I just don't like to I don't like to signal boost people that engage in like mass reporting. And Nick's community does that like crazy.
Reporting against Keffels and Hassan.
Notice how he doesn't answer the
crazy.
question? It's
So
because he
just
keeps
shut up.
dodging.
You're just
Yeah,
a
so-
liar.
so-
Everyone
I
posts
wanna-
people can post the clips. Destiny
That's
had
crazy.
Keffels and Hassan mass reported last year. He had a tenuous explanation. Me and Destiny collaborated.
Every time Nick
3
yaps
times.
like this
Can
without
I-
answering my
can I
question, it's
talk, or
because
is
he
this guy just
knows
gonna
he doesn't have an
overtalk
answer to
the
the question.
entire time?
So-
All
And
right,
Nick
let
is
me
the
go.
one
Yeah,
on
Destiny,
here
what-
talking
what
about
are we
freedom of
doing?
speech. Make him answer the
let me-
question.
Destiny,
Make him answer the question.
I'm just wondering.
I'll leave it with him. So I think both of you haven't answered the question. But Nick, I'll give you the mic again, you and Keith, because I know Keith was waiting for a long time. Either Keith go on or we'll go to Nick.
Yeah, let me jump in here. So
Let him ramble,
So-
he means, without answering the
No,
question.
You see, and now another interruption.
You have to,
See, the thing is-
let me. Oh, good. So Desi, let's just take a breather, please. Go ahead, Nick. Thanks, Desi.
Thank you. So the thing is, I mean, I think the big point is I'm banned for 7 years from some platforms, banned from Twitter for 3. I get platformed on here. Mario, you, before you even put out the tweet, say, well, just on the record, I don't agree with most of what he says. We have to bring in 4 left-wing Zionist Jews on the space, and that's not good enough. Then we got to bring in Destiny, who for years has been saying, for whatever stupid reason he can say, well, I'm not going to stream with him. But he is going to show up on this one when it's a big platform. And that just goes to show the disadvantage that people like myself have. You know, Destiny is on YouTube, he's on Reddit, he's on Discord, he's on Twitter. Despite saying equally awful things, jokes or not, he's engaged in mass reporting like anybody has, whether it's a year ago or 7 years ago. But a person like me, I've been banned from everything. I've been lied about by everybody, lied about by the ADL, SPLC. They've never written anything about Destiny. There's no pressure to get him banned from anything. I get restored. It's not 48 hours. I get invited onto a space where everybody practically has to sign a pledge that says, I'm not with this guy. And we got to bring in 4 other people who do most of the talking from the left to defend the State Department and the regime.
You had Andrew Tate
And now I'm going to be
Alex
interrupted
Jones
here.
in
Now
here
I'm
on
going
your
to be
side.
interrupted
Yeah,
here.
Brian, I'll give you. I'll let you respond right after, Nick. So I think Brian's point, Nick. Brian's point was Nick. That you had a lot of. You had Alex Jones, you had Andrew Tate, you had Sneeko, you had others that were supporting your stance. So I think we tried our best to keep it balanced. But I do have to agree with you. Like, I'll be honest. I faced the most pressure bringing you on stage, more than anyone else except probably Prime Minister Imran
And
Khan,
Mario,
Pakistan,
do you
and
hear
Bolsonaro.
a very clear double standard earlier when you introduced Destiny? He openly says that he hates Islam and he's Islamophobic, and nobody pushes back. There's not going to be any articles. Nobody's going to write a bill to go and say anything about Islamophobia. But then Nick says his points that he believes that race is real and he thinks that America's a Christian country, and then somehow that's the most banned position. That's the one that's going to get articles written about it. When Myron comes on stream and he makes jokes about, they make Nazi jokes, stuff like this, they automatically try to censor you and say that you believe in this stuff. And they come on here, Destiny says that you must believe in. There must be some sort of secret motive that you have, some secret hatred. But no, these people just, we like to make jokes. We like to have humor. Destiny openly says he hates Islam, and guess what's going to happen? Nothing. He's not
It's
gonna be
literally,
banned.
one, it's literally not jokes. 2, I've been banned from Twitter more than any of you motherfuckers. I can't believe you guys are crying on here about Twitter bans. I think I'm pretty sure I've been banned from Twitter. I've been banned from Twitter. Yeah, that's great. I've got some. I'm banned from Twitch. Right, and I was banned from Twitter for longer than you and fucking Fuentes over here combined. And you guys lie about why you get banned from your platforms anyway. Just like Nick Fuentes won't answer why he's on my blacklist. He also lies about why he got no-fly listed. It was because he was fighting with a flight attendant.
Let's move away from these points. Yeah, go ahead, Sneeko. Go ahead, Sneeko. Go ahead.
One more point is that Nick's right. I mean, I hosted a bunch of panels back in 2022 when I first learned about Nick and his movement about America First. And the reason they try to silence him so much is because his position ultimately is that we should stop funding Israel. It's that simple. That's why he's so sensitive, because he points out a very specific flaw that American politicians have, is that they all have to have an undying allegiance to Israel, and we don't even know why they're our greatest ally. People defend this country so much and they don't even know where it is on a map. The fact that he calls us out so much, that's what bothers him. And so they try to blacklist him, they try to censor him nonstop. But every time he gets a new angle of popularity, when people start to admit that his talking points have been correct for so long, they immediately hijack the stream. They'll come in there when he comes on Fresh and Fit, Destiny has to debate him. When I go debate XQC, Destiny has to jump in. When Nick gets reinstated on Twitter for the first day and surpasses him in followers in 24 hours, who needs to come in? Can any of you even remember what all the yapping from 30 minutes was about the Wikipedia articles? I can't.
Listen, we all know that you have trouble paying attention. That's why you haven't learned anything about the religion you're grifting in for the past year. But to be clear, Mario invited me. He literally DM'd me like 2 hours ago. So Mario is the Jew in this circumstance. Just to be clear, okay? He's the one that's controlled, by the way.
I'll take the blame. But Keith, I want to ask you a question. You and Brian, then we'll go to Nick for that same question. Why, Keith, in your opinion, was Nick banned from Twitter and all other social media companies? Keith, Brian, and then obviously Nick. You're probably best to answer that question.
Well, it's obviously ideological censorship. I mean, getting back to what I was saying earlier, you know, Destiny can make these pro-genocide statements, Hassan can endorse violence, nothing happens, they stay up on YouTube, there isn't an SPLC hit piece. There are teams employed by organizations like the ADL that sit and watch every minute of Nick's content. And he does 5 shows a week, so it's like, you know, 10 to 15 hours of content. And they clip out 1 or 2 minutes, often joking clips, and then they shop that around, and that's really the only way he's allowed on these major platforms. You know, Nick, I was with him a few days ago, he was telling me about the extent of the censorship after January 6th, and really, you know, I think it's a watershed him being allowed back on, because people get censored, and we all know how bad the censorship has been the last year. But there was a point where, you know, you get censored on a platform, you move to another platform, maybe that one bans you. But in Nick's case, I think he's one of the few people where it was an individual censored. You know, it was an unpersoning across platforms where even people that were posting his clips would get censored. If you search for him on YouTube, it was only very curated results from organizations like the SPLC. And like, it's easy to come on and take this kind of, like I said, this sort of naive pluralist attitude that it's just a free market and these companies just don't like these individual beliefs. But at the end of the day, you know, the companies aren't monitoring these individual streamers, these individual personalities. These boycotts are targeted and led by organizations like the ADL that forced Facebook to ban Holocaust denial, forced Facebook to ban white nationalism, launched a huge advertiser boycott on Twitter. And, you know, this isn't just some kind of organic thing where these organizations represent like a plurality of interests. It's oftentimes the same oligarchs funding these people that are funding the media. Jonathan Greenblatt was in the Obama administration. These organizations are really an extension of the regime. And to take this kind of naive attitude that this is just sort of civil society functioning as it does, and it's you know, free market making decisions about who to sponsor, it's just totally naive. So that's why I think it's such a... That's why I think it's a watershed moment that Nick is back on, because I think he has become the litmus test as someone who is, you know, the most attacked by these organizations, the most lied about. And he's really the only one that's come out the other side of censorship bigger than before. You know, individuals like Alex Jones have been heavily censored, Andrew Tate, but Nick has really come back bigger than 3-4 years ago. And it's at the point where, despite all the censorship, I think everyone has to recognize he's a part of the public conversation. You know, Piers Morgan regularly name drops him. People mention his meeting with Trump. So, you know, Elon here is making, I think,
Sorry, let me just based on what you said, because I think you made a very important point, yeah? And Nick, let me ask you a question based on what Keith said. Obviously, as a side note about Al Ahli Baptist Hospital, we know Israel did it, and we know Al Shifa didn't have those.
Just 2 seconds. Silly.
Let me ask Nick a question.
Silly. Just something came up. Just 2 seconds. You remember how I can't remember who it was. The joke that Nick made earlier. The quote: "You're right. We can't compare loving Hitler to loving Destiny. Destiny is far worse." We just saw just a prominent account snip that and say Nick Fuentes to Mario Nofo, and then they put that quote there without putting out the full context that it's a joke. I think it's a perfect.
And that's what,
I think so. I think so.
right?
Just want to
Like,
make it clear. Yeah, I just want to make it clear. This is I think it's a bad joke. I think Nick even thinks it's a bad joke. He might disagree.
Wait, did Sneeko say I
think it's a
ambushed
bad
him?
joke, but it's a joke nonetheless, whether it's good or bad.
I wasn't
I think
paying
anyone
attention.
that snips it, anyone on Twitter that takes that snippet and posts it pretending it's not a joke, is participating in censorship,
but
or at least
also
tarnishing
they're
one's
proving his
image.
point, right, Mario? Because he's literally saying, you guys are taking my jokes out of context and making it seem like these are my ideological positions. And then we have that happen in real time. So if anything, it just proves his point.
And Mario, you see what didn't go viral? Someone saying, I hate Islam with every fiber in my body. Nobody clips that, and it does not go viral anywhere. You see the clear hypocrisy, the clear double standard?
Here's the thing. This is perfectly encapsulates what happens with Nick, right? Nick gets censored, and anyone that works with him gets censored as a byproduct of platforming him. That's why most people are pussies and don't platform Nick, because they're scared of getting something like that just happen to them. This literally is quintessentially proves what we've been talking about.
But Nick, can I say
to a degree, and they censor anyone that platforms him, and they try
Sorry,
to
I
say
can't hear Suleiman right now.
No, Myron is speaking. But Nick, can I just say, sorry, Sully, I know I took the mic from you. I'm going to give it back to you. But Nick, can I just kind of put it on you? When you make jokes like this, are you really asking for it?
No. I think that's totally ridiculous. I think that, this is like the person that gets abused by the battered wife. Well, what did you say? Or the rape victim. I'm raped. I've been raped. No, I'm kidding. So that's an edgy joke. But it really is. Do we have a free society or don't we? Do we all have the same rights? Can we all make jokes? Can we all use rhetoric? Can we all speak freely? I haven't said a joke that's more offensive than, for example, some people like Lil Nas X dancing on Jesus. If Lil Nas X got killed by like a bunch of Christians because they don't like the blasphemy, would you look at that guy and say, well, he had it coming, that he did that? I mean, or any other.
Nick, how many people do you think died how many Jews died in the Holocaust?
Okay, am I just going to be interrupted the whole time?
Bro, you've yambled. You have literally yapped more than anyone else here. How many people?
Guys,
Make him answer.
Yeah, it's just
totally ridiculous.
So, Nick, I'll let you finish your point. So I'll give you the mic because I know I took it from you. Destiny, I appreciate coming on stage and creating this debate. But we'll just take a bit of a break. Nick, I'll let you finish your point. We'll go to Sully, and Destiny will go back to you in a bit.
So no, I think that's totally ridiculous. And I think that, and the other thing is, it's
like one of the weird things that happens in like Discords, and it kind of happens on Twitter as well. It kind of happens in these spaces too. I've noticed with the way they run them is you bring on people and then you suck them off as much as possible because they're your like celebs that get your viewership. So when people run big spaces like this, the only reason I'm invited is because they know that I'm going to bring an audience. And then Nick is here, but Nick is like their star, so they have to baby him as much as possible, which is why he'll never be forced to answer any questions. And the host will be like, "It's nice as possible." It's just fucking, it's so boring. Ugh.
You so handicapped that, it's just like Harrison Bergeron. You can't say anything. You're constantly interrupted, constantly the language is policed and so on. So
and Destiny will go back to you in a bit.
So no, I think that's totally ridiculous. And I think that, and the other thing is, it's
like one of the weird things that happens in like Discords, and it kind of happens on Twitter as well. It kind of happens in these spaces too. I've noticed with the way they run them is you bring on people and then you suck them off as much as possible because they're your like celebs that get your viewership. So when people run big spaces like this, the only reason I'm invited is because they know that I'm going to bring an audience. And then Nick is here, but Nick is like their star, so they have to baby him as much as possible, which is why he'll never be forced to answer any questions. And the host will be like, "It's nice as possible." It's just fucking, it's so boring. Ugh.
You so handicapped that, it's just like Harrison Bergeron. You can't say anything. You're constantly interrupted, constantly the language is policed and so on.
And then it's so boring because like all of his talking is it's just like it's him doing like his platitudes and his preaching. It's just like so he just like rambles and does his like yap talking points. It's so boring.
Clout, or people that are more mainstream than me, people like Shane Gillis as a good example. One of the funniest people around, recognized at this point, gets removed from the conversation because he's got the wrong politics or made the wrong type of a joke. So this, aren't you asking for it? is like an insane totalitarian mindset, in my opinion. And it'd be one thing if I was one of these guys like the Blood Tribe that you see at these protests where they got a vein bulging out of their head and they're screaming, obscenities and racial slurs and that, that might be one thing. I don't know.
Oh, it's so boring.
Understand why that people might be put off by that. But obvious jokes about things where everybody's laughing, or even if I'm just laughing, I think we can recognize that's part of the conversation. The bigger picture is who is behind the censorship. It's not that I didn't get kicked off Twitter because there was a grassroots, organic, mass support because they didn't like my jokes or they didn't find it humorous. I got banned from Twitter because there are groups, as Keith said, that since the time I was 18 years old have effectively been spying on me, watching everything, paid for it with the stated intention. I mean, that's their goal of getting me censored because of the political things that I say. And that that's the case. As Keith said, that you can't believe the alibi or the cover story because of the inconsistency. They don't do this to left-wing people. They don't enforce it against left-wing people because it's a matter of ideological censorship. If it was about the thing in itself, Hassan would be banned for posting a bomb schematic, obviously. And there are numerous other examples. Even regular conservatives can point this out. So
nobody denies the Twitter double standard.
So Nick, just a quick question. Nick, just a quick question, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. This is where he pretends to ask an impartial question.
Explained from a social media perspective, right? And even people have mentioned about this, your joke being taken out of context and clipped. What about from the mainstream media perspective and organizations such as ADL? If those organizations are up in arms about what they believe is hate speech, why is it, for example, they've come after you, they've made hit pieces against you, the ADL have come after you, but for example, not to mention Destiny again, but his extreme Islamophobia has been left unanswered. So and does that then not, that's the first part, and the second part of the question, does that then not add more merit to your argument that there are certain people who are having control of the media, having control of the narrative?
100%. And I'll even match you another example. Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, who's, I think, far more famous than almost anyone here except for probably Andrew Tate. Ben Shapiro, 20 years ago, was writing that Israel should ethnically cleanse Palestine. He wrote actually several articles saying transfer is not a dirty word and these people hate us and we got to ethnically cleanse them. Now, whenever you read an article about Ben Shapiro, you don't read Ben Shapiro, who 20 years ago in a town hall article wrote in favor of ethnic cleansing. It's not part of the conversation, but it is the case with me. It is the case with Keith. It is the case, presumably, if other people on the space step out of bounds, they'll say, Mario
people are saying
and
Vitali got
Suleiman,
somebody
who
killed?
hosted
Is
the
that
white
true?
nationals, Nick Fuentes. That proves that it is ideological and it is about power. And I'll say the Ben Shapiro example is connected to Destiny. You may have noticed that lately Destiny has been getting bigger platforms. He was on a debate with Ben Shapiro, with Lex Fridman, with Jordan Peterson. And, this is a theory, so not a fact, but a theory. I think that one of the reasons they're willing to overlook some of the disturbing things about his life or disturbing things that he said, but not with me, is because Destiny is one of the few pro-Israel leftists. So Jordan Peterson recently, who's at Daily Wire, Shapiro's company, somebody said, when will you talk to Nick Fuentes? Peterson said, when hell freezes over. Okay? And I'm a Catholic right-wing guy. I mean, obviously far right, obviously not mainstream right. But when hell freezes over, that's when he'll sit with me or converse with me. And presumably in an extremely hostile way, if it ever happened. When Destiny, who lives a completely, and I don't say this as a personal attack, but lives a not conservative lifestyle, to put it respectfully, with some decorum, okay, somebody who really is a fundamental liberal on the issue of transsexuals or on climate or other things, well, Jordan Peterson smiles and sits with him in a friendly manner, and it's an intense debate, but in a very friendly way. Why is it that even conservatives will platform liberals, communists, in some cases Satanists, porn stars? Trent Horn sat down with porn stars or whatever. He's a Catholic apologist. He's also Jewish. They'll sit down with porn stars. Those people are not offensive enough to a conservative to refuse their company. But I am, because I made a joke or I said something, even I'll grant you, let's say something that is completely heterodox in the conservative political space. that tells you what's going on. And as I said earlier, the contours of what is called political correctness, what explains
so mad about
these
my
things,
growth.
is the position.
As much as you guys think like Hassan has been jealous or upset about me growing,
Rubin,
bro,
his last example
Nick
I'll
Fuentes
give,
is so ass
the
mad
last
about it, and his
example is
gripers
Dave
are.
Rubin. Dave Rubin built it, and we all recognize, built his brand saying, I'm a liberal, and I may not agree with you, but at least we can have a conversation. You know, Rubin Report, back in 2016, he was debating Shapiro and Milo and Peterson. He really put all these people on. He's part of the intellectual dork web. Dave Rubin, he literally published a book. Hey, don't burn this book. You might disagree with my book, but don't burn it. But when people go and criticize Israel, then Dave Rubin blocks you on Twitter, attacks you on Twitter, and calls your boss and tries to get you fired. You know, all of a sudden, he wants to burn the books. Now we can't have a conversation. There are some things that we can't talk about.
Why isn't Hassan banned? Hassan is the wait. Make him
friends,
insist. Why isn't Hassan banned? He's the largest political streamer on Twitch and has huge platforms on other huge things on other platforms. Why isn't Hassan banned? Who is insanely anti-Israel?
Hassan isn't platformed by Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson.
He's platformed by Twitch, which is represented by Amazon, which is it's got to be the most Jew-controlled fucking organization in the world. Why doesn't Hassan get banned? He's had ADL things written about
platforms.
him. You said that if you don't represent, so you don't think the ADL or any of the platform bans have to do with not towing the Israeli line?
Try getting it out. I'm talking specifically about Shapiro and Peterson.
Yeah, because you're talking specifically about it now because this contradicts your point. Yeah, you're yapping for 3 minutes. You won't own any point.
After you held the floor for an hour.
I haven't held the floor for anything. You interrupted me so many times. You're so happy to talk to me. Oh my God.
Nick, I'm gonna George. You've heard Nick's joke earlier, and I saw one of your comments. You weren't too happy with it. Do you think jokes like this? Do you think anything that Nick said so far should be censored? I know you disagree with a lot of it, but do you think it should be censored?
Questions. Oh my God. Should jokes be censored?
I don't think he's added as a speaker.
Well, so why isn't Hassan banned for being anti-Israel?
Hold on, Destiny, hold on, please. Go ahead, Mr. Santos, go ahead.
No, hold on. He still is a listener. But I mean, the reason is because he's still.
No, sorry, Sneeko. Yeah, I think there's a glitch. You can't hear George Santos speaking right now. Yeah, Sneeko. So George Santos speaking. No, not you, George. I'll drop Sneeko and bring him back up. All good, George. The glitch was Sneeko. Go ahead, George. Sneeko, I'll drop you and bring you back up.
Okay. So very simple. To answer your question is, I don't agree with anything Nick Fuentes says. I used to think he was, harmless, and now he's out there, whatever. But I don't think he should be banned. But I don't think we should give him oxygen because he says a lot of hateful things. I mean, his entire following.
Okay, George, I think you're the issue, but it's actually I'll drop you and bring you back up. But it's actually Brian, I'm going to give you the mic. You'll probably make a similar point to George, hopefully, and I'll bring George back up.
Yeah. So I've heard some people talk, and I think Sneeko might have said something that like Nick's been banned on all these platforms because he's been anti-Israel or he has spoken out against Israel. But I feel that there's a lot of minimizing of what Nick has said in the past, and he claims that it's a joke. You say you joke around a lot, but were you joking when you said that you loved Hitler, or when you said that Jews have no place in Western civilization, or when you called for the Aryan race to go to victory? Were they all jokes?
Total Aryan victory, yeah, that's a joke. And loving Hitler, I do love Hitler in a Christian way. I love everybody, as I said. I love you.
You don't see why that might be
Destiny.
a problem. You don't see why that might be a problem, and that might be a little bit different.
Well, but tell me why. But tell me why. Why is that a problematic statement? Am I obligated to hate Hitler?
So would you say, so Nick, would you hate? Is there anyone on this planet that you would hate? Just first question.
No.
I know it's very broad.
No,
nobody at all.
Christians, we have to love. Well, and this is the purpose of saying, and this is the thing I think that's getting lost. The purpose.
Nobody's gonna make him answer a question. Can I leave? This is so fucking boring.
Why would you say something like that? It is to elicit a conversation like this. It is for people to say and question their assumptions. Why is it the case that we have to hate a person? Why? Who can we hate? Who can we love? And who says? And why? Wait. So hang on. Me as a Christian, when you say things like, you said Jews have no place in Western civilization.
He hasn't answered a single question.
I don't know what that specific quote is. But what I am saying is that Jews are not part of the same civilization in the sense that for thousands of years, they were segregated from Christians.
Do you think
No one
Muslims
knew
are part of
about
the same
history.
civilization? Should
Okay,
Muslims be
am I
allowed
just
to
gonna
run for
get
office?
interrupted
Hold on,
with
Destiny.
low
Let me go.
IQ?
Yes, so Destiny.
Is it
just
really?
let me
He
get
doesn't
like
answer a single
yeah,
question.
Yeah,
He's rambled so much.
let me. I will go back to you. I promise. Nick, I want to back and forth between you and Brian on Brian's particular point before going to Mr. Santos again. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, me too. And I'll make it brief, but a statement like that is Jews are different than Christians, and they have lived in segregation or in conflict or in other ways with each other because they're not Christian. It is a Christian value that we say we love everybody. We love even our enemies. We love everybody. Jewish people say sometimes I think there was an article written in First Things recently by some Zionist, and they said, actually, there's a virtue in hatred. There's a virtue in hating the Palestinians or hating Hamas and things like that. And so that does reflect a fundamental difference of values. And when I say, and Christians believe that evil is the Antichrist, the essence of good and God and love is selflessness. The opposite of that is selfishness, pride. So our adversary is not actually Hitler, it's the devil. It's the Antichrist. And the model of good is God. It seems like there's this parallel, separate moral system that's been created where in some people's minds, Hitler is the devil, and I guess Israel is the angel or something. Like that seems to be the people that are the most evil are the ones that are the most like Hitler, and the goodest people, the best people, the most good, well, they're the ones that are the least racist, the least this. I think that's like an obfuscation. I think that obfuscates the fundamental moral equation for Christians. So when I say, and when me and Ye said that,
to ask you a question on that.
I do want to go to just let me get Brian to push back. So let me quickly ask a question. Right,
it's going to be a one-word answer. Based on what you said, because you're basically applying Christian ethics, but let's say hypothetically someone was to kill your family member, would you apply the same standard that you would dislike the person but still love them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're supposed to love everybody. That's why that priest in Australia who got stabbed immediately prayed for the attacker. So that is really the fundamental difference.
And that's the difference. That's the reason Hasanabi gets to go on the mainstream platforms, is because he doesn't have that sort of basis of ideology.
Why does he get the fucking
When you come from the atheist point of view, they don't see you as a threat. Nick coming on here and saying that America should hold Christian values, that's the real threat to the Judeo-Christian system. Mario, there's a reason why Elon Musk is not, I mean, I love Elon Musk for reinstating me. The reason that he's not in this space right now is because we're talking about the Israel issue, the one issue that scares them the most. They're not supposed to speak about this. Look, the biggest lobby in America is not funded by the Chi-Coms or the globalists. The biggest lobby in America, AIPAC, 98% of their politicians are funded by Israel. This is the main issue. This is what it always leads back to, and the biggest threat is having people, strong people like the Groypers that believe in God.
And also, I want to add this as well. Not only do they siphon off Nick's influence,
are we going to get George Santos in here? That'll be fun.
Yeah. So let me get Brian.
Quick point.
Quick, please, Myron. I want to go to Brian, then Mr. Santos.
I'm going to be very quick here. The thing I want to mention is that not only do they stifle Nick's influence, but they go ahead and try to stifle anyone that platforms in that isn't diametrically opposed.
No, Myron is speaking. Yeah, Myron, you've got the glitch. I'll bring you down and back up, and then no one can hear you on stage. You go ahead, Brian, and then we'll go to Mr. Santos.
I just feel that you're trying to whitewash, no pun intended, like some of the things you've said in the past. So I'll ask you flat out, I'm Jewish. I've had family members fight in World War II, in Vietnam. Do I belong in Western civilization?
I think that Jewish civilization is different than Christian civilization. I mean,
do I belong in the United States? Do I belong in Western civilization?
I mean, if I were in charge, I wouldn't deport you or something like that. I don't, those are subjective questions.
But you think I should have no power in this country?
I think you shouldn't be able to be the president. Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Because I'll tell you exactly why.
Oh, now he's going to ramble for another 10 fucking minutes.
I think that any Christian cannot just throw it up and say, we're going to let the president. Okay, well, first of all, that's not true. Okay, that's based on a myth. No. They were Christian, and it was a Christian people. And the framers, if you read in the Federalist Papers, it says that this is for one people of one faith on one land. John Jay, Federalist number 2. Look it up. It's in there. The framers all believe this. Regardless, leaving that aside. But leaving that aside,
show me where they say it's a Christian country. Does it actually say that somewhere in the Constitution?
I just cited it. John Jay, Federalist number 2. John Jay, the Federalist Papers were written by the framers, and that was the basis of the Constitution.
And it said that nobody that's not Christian should have no
It didn't say that. No, it didn't say that explicitly. But it said that this is a country.
What are you
well, and also, okay, Are you going to interrupt me, or do you want me to make my point?
Well, I'm
if you
just
want
trying
to
to
say,
get to your
look,
thought process.
Okay. Well, regardless, even if the founding fathers were not Christian, that doesn't matter to me. Okay. The founding fathers are not the authority. God is the authority. And no Christian can say that we're going to let the country be run by whoever gets elected. Like, let's say atheists get elected, or let's say Muslims get elected, or let's say Satanists get elected. A Christian cannot say, well, the founding fathers said, or, well, so-and-so said that the people decided that we must live under some kind of regime. No, we believe that actually society should be receiving instruction from the church, that only moral people can lead, and that if you have people in charge that do not believe in God and don't actually follow God's laws, then you're going to have a country that's totally immoral or amoral and therefore totally sinful and offensive to God. I don't know how anyone could be a Christian and not
Wait, make him answer the question of would you apply the same restrictions to Muslims as you would to Jews?
Absolutely, yes, 100%. I literally just said it.
So Jews.
I said we shouldn't let a Muslim
and
be
Muslims
president.
shouldn't. Yeah, you said president. So what about for Congress? What about for mayors?
Yeah, for Congress. I said it earlier.
So no
Congress,
federal offices,
judges,
no
just
state offices for
Christians. Just Christians.
No Muslims as well.
Just Christians. Yeah.
Okay. So if I said that the final authority belongs to Big Bird, why should my thoughts on that be weighed less than yours? Like, should we just look to Big Bird and ask Big Bird what the country should be run by?
Well, then you get into the subjectivity of morality. I mean, you could apply the same question about the country. It's like, would you be okay with some kind of Satanist being in control of the country? I mean, do you think that's okay?
Do I think it's okay? I don't think that any
should that be allowed to happen?
I don't think any religious text should be running the country. I think that the Constitution should determine how the country is run, not how one person thinks a God wants the country to be run.
Okay, but all laws, but this is a question of morality. All laws are based on morals. Saying that it's illegal to kill is based on morals. Saying it's legal to steal is based on morals. Saying that everyone should be equal, that's a moral statement. What if somebody gets elected that doesn't believe that everybody's created equal? And then they pass a law that creates an apartheid regime.
Morals aren't based on religion, though.
Wait,
morals aren't based on religion.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. I'm not religious. I have morals.
They necessarily have to be.
If we say they necessarily are, why is it? Wait. Why do we cite John Jay?
I have morals.
Wait, why do we cite the Federalist Papers? Why do we cite the Founding Fathers? If you want America to be a Christian nation, none of that is found anywhere in the Constitution.
I'm not citing that. I'm not citing that.
You literally cited John Jay in Federalist Papers number 2. Where, by the way,
he said the founders weren't Christian.
I said the founders they weren't Christian, but more importantly, they didn't enshrine Christianity in any part of our Constitution.
You're totally confused. First of all, you're interrupting. Second of all, you're totally confused.
Yes, you are. You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the Founding Fathers, the framers,
100%. Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that fucking anyway. But you get all your information from Wikipedia articles.
Why not go fucking live in Rome, or go fucking live in the Catholic fucking Vatican, or go live in fucking prehistoric wherever the fuck? Why be in the United States and try to change this into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country is about?
We want to make it better. We want to improve it.
You don't want to make it better. You want to destroy the country. Like, you understand. The funny thing is, you are like as
you're literally a
worse than the Jewish invaders that you accuse of trying to destroy the country. You are overtly saying that you want to run it as a theocratic regime, that you want religion and God to be the number one thing we answer to and not the Constitution. Yeah, so you're worse than any Jew you accuse of trying to frame their law or their allegiance or whatever. You want to be loyal to the Vatican or whatever the fuck, and you say they want to be loyal to fucking Israel. At least Israel is real. Like, what the fuck is the point of trying to say that the United States should be some theocratic regime and then act like you're better than any other group of people trying to change the country?
Because one is right and one is not right. Your whole religion is
fuck me! How did I not know that? One religion is right and the other is wrong. You're the first one in history to think of that one, Nick Fuentes. Good one, Chief.
But that is
good one, Chief. Wait. What about all the dick sucks in here? Wait, hold on. Where's Sneeko and Myron? How do you guys feel about the fact that Nick would see it so that you guys could never hold public office? You guys could never hold public office in Nick's America. Sneeko stood up on stage. He supported him. Sneeko said, "Yeah, I support Nick Fuentes."
Yeah, Georgia. I know you were trying to speak earlier. I appreciate you waiting. I'll give you the mic. I think we got to the end of the back and forth.
Because I started.
Do you want us to answer that question?
I'm gonna skip the question just for now. We can get back to it in a bit. George, go ahead.
All right, no, thank you. Look, the debate on the topic of Nick Fuentes being silenced, I disagree. I don't agree in curbing anybody's speech. does that necessarily mean we should all?
Oh shit. Just again, I promise you that I'll bring you down and back up. I will make sure you speak immediately right after. And just while I'm doing that, just quickly, Nick, how long have you and Destiny known each other? Because you guys seem like you're
Why the softball questions, bro? He's got his own stream to be softball on. Make the Muslims in the call answer. Suleiman, Sneeko, and Myron. Nick said he would never allow any Muslim in this country to hold public office. You're chill with that? You like that version of Nick's America?
It's much better than and like acting like we're even a majority in America is ridiculous. There's 3 million Muslims here. It makes more sense, and our ideologies align more than the alternative. I'd much rather have a Christian country than an atheist country. Yeah, if they're gonna have strong Christians that are gonna sort everything to the Bible, I think that makes sense. That's what the whole point of Ye 24 was. Let's rewrite a lot of these things. Let's make sure that all the laws that we push forward go right back to the Bible. I think
you'd rather live in a Christian theocracy where Muslims aren't even allowed to hold office than you would in a secular democracy where Muslims can hold office?
Why are we subjected to this interrogation?
What is the point
do you understand how it goes from, he's not
I know you're mad because you just want to fucking yap and preach. No, you're not. The question wasn't even directed to you. Let's take a answer. Oh my God.
George, you joined back at a perfect time. Let's see, hopefully.
Yeah,
I wouldn't open it.
I got muted again.
Like, look, Nick is a friend of mine. Obviously, we disagree on this issue. You can disagree with people on specific issues. That's one of the issues that we disagree on. Go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, I was just gonna go to George. George, hopefully Nick can hear you this time around.
Do I need to leave him back? He still looks like a
Can you guys hear me?
No, guys.
Hear me?
Yeah, Myron, just 2 seconds. Mr. Santos, I hope Nick can hear you this time around. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Can Nick hear me?
Nick, can you hear him?
No, I think no one can hear him. I can't hear him. Yeah,
Muslims are literally the most cucked religion online. They are the most.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Muslims will cuck out to any celebrity. It's insane.
And hopefully the audience could hear you, and then we could tell Nick what he said. Go ahead, sir.
The statement. I'm going to make a statement and a question. The statement is: should Nick Fuentes be censored?
Is this the George Santos? Is he even in fucking Congress anymore?
Is ugly, and the person who makes it should wear it. I don't care. But just based on what I've heard over the last couple of minutes here of Nick Fuentes, I mean, it's hard to even find that he has a following because every single thing he says is deceiving and hate. It's hateful. He's Islamophobic. He's anti-Semitic. Every single aspect of this individual is built on hate. And what drives me absolutely bonkers is the fact that he calls himself a white nationalist. The guy's Hispanic. That's quite the clash of identity he has here, but which is fine. Who cares? That's his prerogative. But what I find hard to understand is the people who listen to the things he's saying and that they conform and agree. I mean, I've seen what the Groypers look like. They come in all shades and colors and religions. The fact that they can make amends with Nick Fuentes as their quote-unquote leader, whether it's one of his generals being in prison to being subject to going to prison for 5 years for child pornography, whether it's him having porn on his on his computer and being exposed for it, but then denying it and not allowing.
That was fake. That was proven fake.
Mario, why are you bringing this guy up here? Who is this guy?
I don't care.
I can't even hear what's being said.
I don't care.
He's bringing up the porn on the phone thing. That's like proven fake.
Unless you want to acknowledge or not, I'm somebody who at least knows how to get elected.
I can't hear it. So.
How about that? You're never going to get elected. Nick's never going to get elected. You're never really going to be leaders of change or even representatives of any thought of your twisted, sick mentality. The fact that I'm sitting on the stage and I actually have to agree predominantly with Destiny and the Krasensteins, who are on the polar opposite side of the spectrum with me, is just to show you how Nick Fuentes is a seething, hateful person. I mean, and that's just my opinion. Now, Sneeko, if you want to shill for him, that's on you. And Keith, if you want to shill for him, that's on you. But all you need to do is go on the purple pill and see exactly the nasty, vitriolic hate that Nick Fuentes and his followers drive to the conversation. I'm gay. I'm not ashamed of it. But to them, I'm not human. I'm subhuman.
Don't worry. As long as Fuentes isn't here, you're in good company.
Well, you're coming into the space. You're coming into the space lying.
Can I make a comment on that, please? Hey, George.
I can't even hear what's being said, so I don't think this is really fair.
So, Nick, let me tell what he said because he needs to respond. There's a lot of defamatory statements.
Sully, since Nicholas can't hear, should we bring him down and back up?
No, it's only George that he cannot hear. I think a couple of other speakers
cannot
hear him. Yes. Yeah, go ahead, Suleiman.
Yeah, so he's made a number of accusations against you. He's saying that you are Islamophobic because you are the opposition, He also said you're anti-Semitic and your entire ideology is based on hate. He also made an accusation that you're friends with somebody who's been in prison for 5 years or something. And also he said something about you having child pornography on your computer.
Okay, well, I mean, he's Jewish, homosexual, drag queens. Clearly, there's ideological bias.
I didn't say he had.
As for pornography,
sorry, 2 seconds, Nick. What was? Sorry, Nick. Sorry, 2 seconds, Nick. What correction do you want to make, George? And then we'll go to Nick.
The correct was I didn't say child pornography.
Oh, okay, gay. So Nick, it was not child pornography. Big difference. Yeah. And Nick, it was gay porn, not child pornography.
He's thinking of Abby Alexander, the guy that Nick Fuentes defends all the time.
Oh, okay. Ali Alexander. Yeah, that's. Yeah. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, it's funny. I mean, the old Ali thing was.
Oh, Ali Alexander.
Milo came out and
I barely follow these names.
"Oh, there's all this evidence," and it never came out. There was one thing where I guess he sexted some gay guy who apparently. I mean, at first it looked credible, and then this guy turned out to be following and commenting on like 100 other gay people stuff during that period. So that whole thing got completely debunked. As for
a gay guy following gay people is debunked
hatred and Islamophobia and whatever. These are meaningless words. I'm a Catholic. If you're Catholic, you believe that Jesus is God. You believe in the authority of the Catholic Church, and we can't live in a society that is completely separate from that. There's like this myth that Christians must be indifferent to their own religion and their own church. And, and I said to Destiny, he said, oh, well, you're the first person to say my religion is right and others are wrong. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of the essence of religion, is that there are positive claims. They contradict other people's claims about the nature of God and all that. And yes, those ideas have consequences. If you believe Jesus is God and the Catholic Church has authority, you need to live in a society that's informed by that. And so, on the other hand, liberals believe in pluralism. Liberals who don't believe in God or have certain religious beliefs, they think that we have to defer all these questions or avoid all these questions, and they believe in the state that's like an umpire, and they're kind of letting people do whatever it is they want. But we're seeing the problems with that worldview, where a lot of different people are living here and they have mutually exclusive moral beliefs, and that becomes a very big problem. That's as evidenced by the trans issue or the gay issue or feminism or mass immigration of people from foreign religions. So, I mean, this is really just low IQ stuff. You're an anti-Semitic Islamophobe. I mean, what do these things even mean? I mean, specifically on anti-Semitism, that is the essence of the debate now about this recent law where we're looking to the IHRA for the definition, and it says that if you believe Jews are loyal to Israel, you're anti-Semitic. It's like, okay, well, Jews, some of them are loyal to Israel, believe it or not. I know that's crazy. Under that definition, you'd be an anti-Semite. If somebody said, do you hate Jews? I would say, no, I love Jews. I love everybody. If someone said, do you hate Muslims? I'd say, no, I love Muslims. I love everybody. And I have Muslim friends on this space. Suleiman, I count you as one of them, Myron, Sneeko. I have Jewish friends like Laura Loomer and other people that are not public figures. So I mean, this is really just inane stuff. Surely we can have a higher IQ debate than you're a pornographer and you're a racist and you're an anti-Semite. This is just kind of like the same mob stupidity that you get from liberals in general. So I don't know why this guy was ever in Congress or Republican. I don't know, frankly, why he's on the space. You got two disgusting degenerates between Destiny and George Santos. You got a gay drag queen who got ran out of office.
All right, I gotta leave pretty soon. Can I do a final question before I leave?
And a couple of abandoned children. So I mean, these people, in my view, just do not have credibility on these subjects.
Nice. Okay,
so Destiny, do you mind? I'm gonna go to George for the two questions, then we'll go to yours right after.
Yeah, I would prefer if we didn't, because I can't hear him, and that's not really fair.
I think it's working. I think it's working now. George, you want to try one more time?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now, Nick?
You can?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
You know what? I struggle to Mario.
It's not really appropriate for him to talk if I can't hear him.
But
no, okay. Nick, is it okay if I repeat the question to you?
No,
do one question from
no. That's totally inappropriate. You can't have him accusing me of being a child pornographer, and I can't even hear what he's saying. I think that's inappropriate to begin with, and then for that to go on when I can't.
Just ask him if he's gay or not. That's all I want to know. It's a yes or no
question. Do you want to ask that question? It's a pretty simple question.
I mean, it's a bit of a dumb question, right?
Asked by a drag queen, by the way.
So it's a question about your sexuality, Nick. I'm not sure how it's relevant, but I'll ask it just because it was asked, and then we'll go to Destiny right after. Not sure if you want to answer that question, Nick.
I just want him to.
What's the question? Well, I don't want to participate in this if people are going to be talking and I can't hear them. That's not fair.
No, all good. So it's just, it was
hold on.
the question. Hold on, guys.
I've been waiting a while.
So let me. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Myron and then Destiny. So the question after you, Nick, if you want to answer or not. So George Santos asked the question if you're gay or not, and then Myron wanted to speak, and then Destiny wanted to ask a final question. So up to you if you want to answer the question.
Question, isn't it? Like that's a ridiculous question. And to be honest, and to be honest, like George Santos, the guy who's basically conducted more Islamophobia than anyone knows.
I think Nick is pretty good at defending himself. Go ahead, Nick.
I have said it repeatedly, and I have no problem with hard questions, but I can't hear him, and these are not even legitimate questions. This is just asinine personal attacks. So I frankly, if this is how it's going to be, and I don't know if you're hearing me, but I'm not going to participate. If it's,
no, we can hear
you're bringing people up to call me a gay pornographer, and then I don't even hear the question. This is ridiculous. I'll suffer even a little bit of Destiny, hard questions, but I can't even hear the guy.
Yeah, let me go to Myron. Myron, you've been waiting for a while, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. See, here's the thing. This is what they do with Nick, right? So,
I think, yeah, Myron. I think Nick just left. I'll let you mention your comments. I think it was a good debate though. I think that last question was tough.
He'll be back.
But go ahead, Myron.
Yeah, so this is what they do, right? They discredit Nick by calling him a white supremacist, an extremist, he's built on hate, etc. But that's not true. 3 of the people here on this panel right now are Muslims and he's friends with us. He's friends with Laura Loomer, who's Jewish and a Zionist. He has other Jewish friends. But they do this to disqualify his opinions and his views on things. Here's the reality. People cancel him because he talks about Jewish power in the United States and Jewish influence in American politics, which is absolutely true. That's why George Santos right now does not want to agree with him because he understands the people that back him are Jewish lobbyists. That's the truth. America is run by AIPAC when it comes to political situations, and Nick has been critical of this for years, and they don't want him to be able to put that information out. Now, after October 7th, people are seeing the light of who really runs this fucking country from a political standpoint, and that is the truth. But they go ahead and try to say he's a white supremacist and make all these comments to disqualify the very valid points he makes.
Yeah, and I do, I'll let you ping Nick wanted to come in, but I think we went way over time with the space anyway. Destiny, I know you had a question for Nick, but you and him went back
and forth. I guess like basically just like a comment.
I want to get final thoughts from Keith. Keith, you've been doing a lot of spaces with Nick. Your final thoughts on Nick being reinstated, and I know you were speaking earlier when we interrupted.
Yeah, thanks. I know Nick dropped. I think he's actually doing a space on his own channel now if people want to continue it there.
Yeah, I think what we'll do, Keith, we'll give you the final word, and then anyone that wants to
be clear, Nick is the only one here that said he wanted to block Muslims from running for office. So he's the most Islamophobic here. He's the most.
I'll avoid, guys. I'll avoid.
He also didn't answer any
so what I'll do,
questions directly.
Guys, what I'll do is because Nick is not here. I just.
All right. What a yap. Okay. Real quick, tomorrow I think I'm a lot of studio stuff. I think we're done by tomorrow. What was I looking at? Oh, I have a Twitter community. Jesus. Also, the browser shit fucks with my microphone so much. It's so fucking annoying. Here's a community. If you want, join the Twitter community. We might start doing like the Twitter space meta. I guess if like politicians and shit join, fuck not. Or I'm sorry, X. There you go. Also, listen, okay, if you are, there's probably groupers here, I don't give a fuck, or if you're stuck in the middle or whatever, okay, listen, if you want this country to look like a particular thing, or if you have a view of this country that you want that is like completely and wholly different than what this country's ever looked like, then, you know, God bless you, you live in the United States of America, unlike all the other countries that you seem to enjoy more than this one, you're actually allowed to advocate for those things here, okay? When people talk about turning this country into a theocracy, it is a bullshit-ass claim. When somebody tries to cite the Federalist Papers #2, where John Jay talked about the importance of having like a cohesive national culture and try to pretend that that meant that he wanted us all to be Christian, listen, okay? The founding fathers were fucking attention whores, all right? These people wrote so many fucking pamphlets, so many fucking papers, so many fucking books. They wrote the fucking Constitution. These guys wrote so much. If they wanted the United States to be a Christian country, we wouldn't have to play fucking Decoder Inspector Gadget to try to figure out where that is, all right? There wouldn't be anything up to interpretation. Probably just be written in the fucking Constitution itself, okay? It's not like it would have even been like that crazy at the time to make it a Christian country if they wanted to, okay? So always remember that. When people say this was founded as a Christian Christian country, that is fucking bullshit, okay? Number one, okay? Number two, when you have people that are coming up here saying, I think Jews want to do this thing where they oppress certain religions or certain races or some bullshit, listen, that is literally explicitly what Nick is saying he wants to do. He wants to make it a Christian country and then ban Muslims and Jews from running for office. Like, why? What's next? They can't vote? Or, like, you don't want them to immigrate here? Or, like, is it only... And also, keep this in mind, too. If you are Christian, okay, Fuentes is not Christian. Fuentes is Catholic, okay? So I didn't get to ask him this, but I'm pretty sure that... if you were to ask him, not only would he say, you know, Muslims and Jews shouldn't be able to run for office, he'd probably say Christians shouldn't be able to run for office either, okay? Catholics had a really brutal history fighting Protestants a long fucking time ago. It's not like that these two people, like, separated and got along and were, you know, super cool with each other. So, yeah, fuck Nick, fuck all that bullshit. And fuck that anti-American shit too. It's like, it's just not like he's not like this liberal place. Like, if you were to try to pull this shit in any other country, he would get like fucking executed, okay? If you were to go to fucking Saudi Arabia and say some shit about how you want to start a different type of fucking religion, or if you go to the Dark Ages, you know, in these like Catholic ran countries or some bullshit, you're like, oh yeah, like I think we need to be a blah blah blah. Like, yeah, fuck that shit. Are Catholics not Christian? Fuck no. If you're a Catholic and somebody's like, are you Christian? Say, fuck no, I'm not fucking Catholic, motherfucker. No, that's bullshit, okay? Don't let him get away with that shit, okay? You're saying you joined right after you left. I don't care. I'm not going back. I'm gonna go do other shit. Have fun. Yeah, Nick will dodge the fuck out of me because he's a pussy-ass bitch motherfucker, so... Wait, what was it? Oh, yeah. Join the, yeah, join the community. Okay. I love you guys. Have fun. Ribriana, Cappuccino, Pappuccino, Hoppuccino, Moppuccino, Dappuccino, Cappuccino, Appuccino, Alpuccino, my dinner. I will catch you guys next stream arena, which means tomorrow. Peace out. Oh, wait. Fuck. I'm so sorry. A lot of you probably clicked off. Also, remember this, okay? When Nick Fuentes says he gets banned for telling jokes, he doesn't ever tell you he actually believes too, okay? Saying things like a lot of Jews are in power, everybody knows that. We can all look at that. Like, yeah, Jewish people tend to be wealthy, tend to be influential. Yeah, that's true. That's not the strong claim, though. The strong claim is that there is a coordinated plan from all Jewish people to undermine, like, white power or undermine, like, other ethnic groups, right? When he says it like, oh, races are real and have differences between them. Yeah, welcome to genes. I don't even know if Nick Fuentes... Actually, that would be a good question. Does Nick believe in genes? You know he doesn't believe in dinosaurs, right? If you ask Nick that on a panel, do you think that dinosaurs were real? He doesn't actually believe that dinosaurs existed. I don't know if he believes that genes are real. So I don't even know if he can believe that race is real. Who the fuck knows? But the strong claim that he makes is that there are inseparable differences between the races because of genetic differences. That's the strong claim. But he's too much of a fucking pussy to even make the strong claims. Because he's a fucking bitch-ass loser pussy. Fuck. Don't ever forget that, okay? Alright, have fun. Peace out.
Walk the killer's path.
Every question, every burden, every vision, I'll lay them out here.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. "30 seconds until minions spawn.
Art is empty
Minions
without
have spawned.
empathy.
I'm bringing guns to the knife fight.
Sorry? My thoughts were someplace else. My work seeks answers for the most burning questions. Show me who you are, what you're capable of. I'll do the same. People aren't what they say, but what they show. I choose kindness until I have no choice. What's heavy in the mind becomes light on the page. When others fall to pieces, I gather them up. I'll always be a student of the brush, never its master.
An enemy has been slain.
The surreal makes people admit what's real. A heart bared isn't broken. It's freed.
An ally has been slain.
Good, evil. The line blurs.
An ally has been slain.
Relieve the pain. One breath and brush at a time. obsession when it strikes. Look to the past. Enough for now. I'll refine the details later. I keep spiraling down paths I never thought I'd walk. Everyone's made of contradictions. Obsession keeps the mind awake.
An ally has been slain.
At least they'll remember how I make them feel. Life flows in currents, twisting, turning. Emotions are most dangerous when silenced. Nothing's as simple as black and white. Feel with me! I'm just a trace of who I was. Why can't I paint exactly what I imagine? We've seen ashes fill the sky. I wish we could leave still so close. And the colors come flooding back. You shape what I make.
Yeah!
No justice, no revenge, only clarity. Every mark should have meaning. Creativity is limitless, for better or worse. Loss haunts me like nothing else. Art is empty without empathy. Express everything. My work seeks answers for the most burning questions. People aren't what they say, but what they show. Out of the ashes, into the fire.
Your turret has been destroyed. An ally has been slain.
I choose kindness until I have no choice. What's heavy in the mind becomes light in the cage.
hammer accessories.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Every step is one step closer.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Me? The hero? Nah, that's ridiculous. Move it!
Minions have spawned.
Okay.
The hammer does most of the work. I just swing it. Do not make my hammer mad. How Demacian of you. Some things are too important to give up on. Oh, you like to fight? So does my hammer. Shieldy. Okay, I admit it. I'm lost. Not dented. Hold it right. You're the hero. Left hand. Today. Don't move.
An ally has been slain.
One thing about me, I'm not good at staying down. Sometimes you just gotta do it yourself. Huh. Got it. It's not dented. there were so many heroes. Shieldy. Not like this. Hope it's not dented. I sure do a lot of walking. Got it.
Reckon I could use a rest and a break from all the screaming.
I'm in 100%. That's everything, right? Shieldy. Yep, it's even heavier than it looks. Three pigtails. I don't get Yordles. Too fluffy. Got it. Left hand. Hope it's not dented. I hope the hero likes me. Shieldy.
An ally has been slain.
I've gotta see this through.
Shut down.
Bound by darkness. Got it. Guess I'm going this way now. Shield to the face. Shielding.
Sometimes the smart thing to do is walk the hell away. Right about now,
What do you mean
I
my
could use some
hammer's too big?
purifying of my own.
Hope it's not dented.
Time to make like a wraith and disappear.
Know what I could use? A cart.
An ally has been slain.
Shieldy.
It ain't ever a sin to be careful.
You could really go for a nap. Hope it's not dented. Coming down. Anyone seen a hero around here? Yeah, just like the hero would buy. Every step is one step closer.
An ally has been slain.
Fighting!
Crimson Fury.
Me? The hero? Nah, that's ridiculous. The hammer does most of the work. I just swing it.
Right about now, I could use some purifying of my own.
Executed.
Do not make my hammer mad.
Your turret has been destroyed.
How Demacian of you.
An
Got it.
ally has been slain.
Some things are too important to give up on.
Enemy killing spree.
Oh, you like to fight? So does my hammer. Not like this.
An enemy has been slain.
Okay, I admit it. I'm lost. Hold on. Sometimes you just gotta do it yourself.
Your turret has been destroyed.
Time to make like a wraith and disappear.
don't give up, you might be here a while. Shieldy. It's not dented.
My
Darkness obscures.
It ain't ever a sin to be careful.
Down. I sure do a lot of walking. Got it.
Has been slain.
I'm in 100%. That's everything. Wait, what did I come back? Yep, it's even heavier than it looks. Go to the face. Left hand. Erase from reality. It's not dented.
An ally has been slain.
Not today.
Raise them upon chains. Sword with my message.
Your turret has been destroyed.
That's okay. I'm playing the long game.
Down.
Here goes everything. Let's try that again. Just had a thought. Pigtail. Sorry about this. Shieldy.
Can't stop me!
Killing spree.
Okay.
I hope the hero likes me. Now, back to finding that hero. I gotta see this through. Guess I'm going this way now. Got it. What do you mean my hammer's too big? Know what I could use? A cart. Should really go for a nap.
Enemy killing spree.
Me? The hero? Nah. Look out!
You're welcome!
Not like this! The hammer does most of the work. I just swing it. Not as my hammer man.
Enemy double kill.
Anyone seen a hero around here?
Your turret has been destroyed.
How Demacian of you.
Say yeah!
Some things are too important to give up on. Hammer! Shieldy. In Hope it's not dented. Got it.
Rampage.
Oh, you like to fight? So does my hammer. Okay, I admit it. I'm lost.
Shut down.
Sometimes you just gotta do it yourself.
An ally has been slain. Your turret has been destroyed. Shut down.
Wait, what did I come back? I'm in debt! Man, quests are hard. I really don't have anything against dragons. Who knew there were so many heroes?
An ally has been slain.
If you're waiting for me to give up, you might be here a while. Hold up! Not dead. Now, back to finding that hero.
Your inhibitor has been destroyed. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned. has been slain. been slain. Your team has destroyed a turret. An ally has been slain. An ally has been slain. Fear me! Enemy triple kill. Your inhibitor has been destroyed. Your inhibitor has been destroyed. Your turret has been destroyed. Defeat.